Hello, it's me, Leslie Bray-Brewer, down here at the well in our main gathering room. I get to come over here and video and somebody will hold the camera for me and I don't have to do it myself propped on a chair over there. Today is Wednesday. It's late on Wednesday night. We just finished a Bible study on heaven, part 5 of heaven. It's really good. Part 6 will be coming up. Stay tuned. And it is Wednesday, March 21st, 2018, which means it is day 31 of the 40-day video series called Watch Walnut Cove. I cannot believe we're already on day 31. There's so much else to tell, and we'll just have to hope we can cram it all into a few more days, or maybe we'll go a little longer. But I'm asking you to watch our little southern town, Walnut Cove, North Carolina. I think population last census was about 1,400. And of course, that's just in town. We got outlying people with the same addresses of Walnut Cove. But I'm asking you to watch this town because God has got a portal of revival here. For this last great outpouring that's going to be all over the globe, there's a portal for that great revival in this town. How do I know? I just know. He's talked to me. I hear him. This is my mission field. I'm not just a preacher who's called to preach the gospel and move from city to city, church to church. This is where he put me. It's like I got a specialized mission field, which is my hometown. And he's talked to me. There's a portal in this town of great revival, like an old well that had been covered up with refuse and debris, and it's time we've been cleaning it out. You're going to see it burst forth in a great way. One thing that really hit me tonight when I was thinking about making this video is this town and the land of this town. I've told you before that we're one of the few towns I know of founded almost totally on a plantation. A lot of times plantations were outside of towns, and then the town would be a central place where all the plantation owners back in the old South could come into town to do their trading and stuff. But our town was founded literally on a plantation. Dr. Lash, actually his dad, William A. Lash, and it was not very far yonder way, if you know where the well is located. I'm pointing that way to where his plantation was. It was called Walnut Cove. The town was named after the plantation. The town was called Lash for a while. I've told y'all that before. Go back and watch the old videos. Gets into more detail. Anyhow, I was thinking about who all has owned the land in this town. Now, who knows who was here 10,000 years ago? Yesterday, I went to the Stokes County Historical Museum in Danbury. There is a stone cooking pot. You know, it looks like maybe something you would grind grain in, but they think it was actually a cooking pot that had a pedestal that they found. I don't know if it was right in Walnut Cove, but in this area, and they have put it at a 10,000-year-old estimate as to when it was created. 10,000 years ago. That was many years before Christ, obviously. So we don't know who was here then. Obviously, some Native American peoples. We do know that the Saura Indians, as I've mentioned them before in a video, were settled along the Dan River about where the confluence with the Town Fork Creek is. And the Town Fork Creek is our waterway that runs straight through Walnut Cove and on up toward Germantown. Well, we know that the Saura Indians, who were fairly peaceful, they were a hunter-gatherer type. Well, I don't know if you say gatherer because they settled down and farmed. They hunted and farmed. They were very peaceful in this area. We think they were gone by about the 1720s. We know disease came in and got rid of a lot of them, and they could no longer defend themselves. Their numbers had been decimated, and they moved away. I've talked about that before. But I thought about this was their land. No, they didn't have a deed, but this was their land. So in a sense, when the white man came into this area, in a sense, it was almost a type of robbery from, I'm not saying the people who came in here and had land grants from Lord Granville or whoever else were wrong. They were given a grant to the land. But as we know, white people came to this country and took land from the Indians. So in a sense, the Saura had all of this land, and then it was given to white people. Of course, the Saura, we think, had moved on by about that point. And then the Cherokee came in, and the Cherokee were marauders into this town. They came in and tormented the Town Fork settlers in this area when the French and Indian War was going on, because they were fighting on the side of the French against the people here. Well, I thought about that. The Saura, and that land was taken for them, and maybe other Native American peoples who were here. And then I thought about the fact that the Lash plantation, I don't know if it was the original William A. Lash or his son, Dr. William Lash. I don't know which one it was, but the rumor was in this town that one of them, I don't know how to say this nicely, had relations with his slave women and produced many offspring, which is totally wrong. And I know Thomas Jefferson did too, but it didn't make it right. So a lot of your people in this town, I was told this by a black woman who's a very prominent citizen who lives in the London community, very, very spiritual woman. I'm going to say she's in her 80s now. She told me maybe 10 years ago, she was talking about the history of this town, and she said, well, you know, Mr. Lash, Dr. Lash, she said, he was my I think either grandpa or great-grandpa. And she sort of gave me the look like, you've heard that, right? And I'm like, yeah, I've heard that. That a lot of the Lash family came literally from the slave owner and the slaves. So technically, you think about it, technically by right, all the plantation land would go to the Lash descendants. But it couldn't go to the biracial descendants because they couldn't own the property. They could not get that property in an inheritance, so it went to the white descendants. But the black descendants of Dr. Lash or his dad were just as entitled to the land, technically, as the white descendants of Dr. Lash. But of course they couldn't get it. So it's another sense of robbery in a way. Yet another plantation, just outside of Walnut Cove, the address was still Walnut Cove. It was called the Saratown Plantation, down going toward Pine Hall, out of Walnut Cove, down 311. The Saratown Plantation is the oldest plantation in this area. And you can still see remnants of it now with a crumbling house that's there that I have been in it. Probably shouldn't have, but I did. But the Saratown Plantation, the master of that was Peter Harston, as they called the white people of that name, and his wife died. And he entered into a relationship with one of his slave women named Sally Blagg. And from what we can ascertain, it was very probably a very deep love relationship, but he could not marry her back then. He founded that plantation in the late 1700s, early 1800s. He couldn't marry her. But they had several children together. We think about 7 maybe. And Peter Harston, the white master, taught his children, his biracial children, he taught them how to read, write, manage plantations. He actually gave them land. He obviously loved his children. And he gave them land. But when he was gone, they didn't get to keep that land. The Stokes County Register of Deeds said that they could not inherit that land, so they lost the land that their father had given them. And he only had, Peter Harston, when he died, only had one white daughter, if I'm not mistaken, one, maybe Ruth, I forget her name, and she got the property. But Peter had put in his will, he was a crafty old dude, he put in his will that his daughter could not own those slaves that were his children, that she could not own them. She could borrow them till a later date, but she couldn't own them. I really like the way he did that. You know, he tried to do the right thing. Unlike Mr. Lash here, Peter Harston tried to do the right thing, but in that time the law didn't allow it. So you got a case there with all that land over there with that massive Saratown plantation that reached into Walnut Cove, where again the black descendants of Peter Harston should have had a right to that land, but they didn't get it. Again, it was a type of robbery. Now, I had a lady tell me one time, a black woman, who said to me maybe a year or two ago, she said, quit bringing up all that land stuff. You're just stirring up stuff. I'm not trying to stir up stuff. What I'm saying is this town, oh goodness, had a theme of robbery. Things were robbed from it, from the Sara, from the Native American peoples, from the Lash plantation slaves, from the Harston plantation slaves, and other plantation slaves. So what have we been trying to do here? We have sought redemption. Now, we can't go back and reclaim all that. I can't find Sara Indians and give them land back. We can't give land back. But we can do spiritual, oh, hallelujah. We can do spiritual reconciliation and repent for the sins of the forefathers and make things right. I went to the Harston plantation with a descendant whose last name is Hairston, of the black line of the Harston family. We went there one day and we prayed. We all held hands, a group of us, and we prayed over there and broke any old generational curses that were over there. I went with a descendant of the Lash family from the black line of the Lash family. We went to the old Lash plantation. We got permission to go on the land, and we did the same thing. Man, we did some powerful spiritual things there. Now, when you talk about the Sara Indians, I don't know that we've done anything specifically, but I find it fascinating that I know I'm a revivalist, chosen for such a time as this in Walnut Cove. This is my mission field. I've been preaching revival here for 20 years, 22 years. And do you know that I'm the only person in this town that I know of, other than my 5 children now, and my cousins, I guess, who has Sara Indian blood, we do believe. Isn't that fascinating? The original people that we know to name in this area were the Sara Indians. My great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, we were always told he was like Chief Donahaw, such as the Donahaw community up in King was named after. But upon further research, the Cherokee never had a chief by that name, and they kept records. There is a legend that the Sara had a chief named Chief Danapaha. That's one way to pronounce it. And some say the Dan River was named after him. And we think, and you can go online and Google this and find other descendants who have studied it and believe that Sara chief was our progenitor, our ancestor. So I am of that blood. I think it's fascinating that me of the Sara blood, and here I am, the original Sara land. I said, God, can't you see that? He's redeeming things, even by allowing me and my children to be part of this. My children have Cherokee blood. I obviously don't. Mine must be Sara. My children from their dad's side have Cherokee blood. And the Cherokee were in this area as well. So you can make spiritual amends using the very bloodline. How cool is that? God's got this all planned out. So I'm excited, and I hope you are too. Keep watching Walnut Cove. I appreciate you checking in with us every day. Got a few more days of this. I love you, and God willing, I'll see you tomorrow on day 32. Remember, help me live Jesus, watch Walnut Cove, and redemption and the love of God is the key.